How's it going, everybody? This is Connor with Second Gear Smiles. Welcome back to the channel. And on this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to safely jack up a 1990 Ford Mustang GT onto some Jackstands. But before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Help me build this channel because honestly, life's too short to be driving boring cars. First things first, let's go through exactly what you need. If you're putting your car up on Jackstands, obviously you'll need some Jackstands. The ones in the back aren't necessarily for frame rails. These are for axles, where the axle kind of sits down in this U-shaped cutout. Excluding these red ones, all four of these Jackstands are 3-ton Jackstands, so they're rated for 6,000 pounds. Whatever Jackstands you use, you want to make sure that they're strong enough to support the weight of your car. The next thing you'll need is a floor jack. This is a standard Touring 3-ton floor jack. They make low profile floor jacks, which at some point I'll invest in, but this is kind of your quote unquote standard floor jack. This has a lifting capacity of 6,000 pounds. And actually this floor jack came as a set with those Jackstands. The other thing that you'll probably want is a set of wheel chocks. Now, when I jack the car up from the front, I put the wheel chocks behind the rear wheels just as an added safety precaution. Now, this last piece of equipment I just bought recently. The Mustang rides pretty low and it's really hard to get the floor jack underneath the Mustang and to be able to jack it up onto the Jackstand. So I went ahead and bought these tiny little ramps from discountramps.com. And it gives me enough clearance to get the floor jack underneath the Mustang. That's going to be vehicle dependent though, because as you can clearly see, my Land Cruiser doesn't need that. There's plenty of space to get the floor jack up underneath the vehicle. Now, what do you do if you don't have a low profile floor jack and you don't have any ramps? Well, that's the situation I ran into last week, and I'll show you what I did. Now, I don't really care about these bumpers. I'm going to be replacing them here in the near future, so I'm not overly concerned. So this bumper is pretty old. It has a decent amount of flex. So between the flex, I was able to kind of gently push up on it. In conjunction with removing this next piece, I was able to get the floor jack up underneath the vehicle. So from the bumper, there's this hard plastic air dam. This air dam helps funnel air up into the radiator. So if you take this off, you're definitely going to want to replace this or put it back on so that you don't have any overheating issues. So this air dam is held in with 4 bolts, one right here, one right here, one right here, and one right here. And it was pretty easy to take off. With this removed, I was able to get a standard floor jack up underneath the car and onto the cross member right there. Okay, so that's all the gear we need. Let's go ahead and get the car up onto Jackstands. Make sure the e-brake is pulled. Until we get the rear up on Jackstands, I like to put the wheel chocks in as an added safety precaution. So for the 1990 Mustang, you can lift it from the front under this cross member right here. Try to make sure the jack is square, and then you can start lifting the car. All right, so the Mustang is now up in the air. Now we want to go under the car and place the Jackstands. So on the 1990 Mustang, on both sides for the front Jackstands, you're going to place them on the frame rail right here. Don't put it on the brake line. You want to put it on the frame rail. In fact, you can actually see where I put the Jackstands last time. Unfortunately, the wood that I've cut doesn't fit safely onto the Jackstand. I have nubs of plastic to go into the Jackstands coming in the mail soon, but unfortunately, this is kind of what happens when you have metal on metal. But this is pretty common on Foxbody Mustangs, but you want to put it on the frame rail. Make sure the Jackstands on both sides have the same number of teeth being utilized, so the car isn't cattywampus when you lower it onto the Jackstands. One thing I forgot to do is pull the ramps out from under the wheels, but the Mustang is still high enough off the ground where I'm able to shimmy the ramps out from under them. That was my bad. Now we're on the back side of the vehicle, and we're gonna lift the jack underneath the pumpkin. And I'll show you what that is right now. All right, so the sun might be making it a little difficult to see, but the center differential is what is commonly referred to as the pumpkin, and that's gonna be your center lifting point. Always double check your floor jack, because as you can see, I'm a little too far forward on the pumpkin, AKA the differential. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower the arm and just back it out a little bit. All right, double check to make sure that your jack stands are at the right height and they're squared underneath the axle, so the axle rests right in this little U notch right there. Okay, we are successfully on jack stands. All 4 wheels are off the ground. Now, as a safety precaution, you're gonna leave the jack stand underneath the pumpkin, so God forbid if one of these were to fail, it's not gonna come all the way crashing down. Another safety precaution that I always recommend and that I always do is when I remove the wheels from the car, I slide them underneath the frame rail, so God forbid if something were to happen, the car falls on the wheels and not potentially on me. And the very last thing, give it a shake. It should feel solid as if it's on the ground, and this is good to go. Okay, so we did what I intended to do today, which is to get this front driver's side wheel off to inspect a jacked up stud. I'm making a video for that, so check up in one of these 2 corners for that video on how to repair how to repair a stud with damaged threads. The process is going to be the same except in reverse. Slide the ramps back under the car so that when we lower the car, we're able to pull the jack stand out. I've made that mistake before. All right, so the last thing I need to do is back the Mustang off of the mini car ramp so I can close the garage door, put everything away, and that's it. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, help me build this channel because let's be real, life's too short to drive boring cars. Thanks, bye.